People, it is that time of the year again, and I have some amazing Christmas crafts for you. They're a little on the rustic side, especially these pinecone Christmas trees. I was lucky enough to have an amazing subscriber send me these giant pine cones. Thank you very much, Terry. She was also sweet enough to clean the suckers out because I was like, oh girl, I don't do bugs. She's like, I got you. Check these out. They were literally bigger than my hand. I had a couple ideas for these, but since we're at the beginning of the season, I'm like, I can use these as little accents as I'm going through to add to decorate. I wanted to create a Christmas tree set. Flocked, of course. And these needed a nice rustic base. And I had these little Dollar Tree cube pieces that I picked up a little while ago, and I thought these would make awesome little bases. I can take some papers and just decoupage them on there, and the theme kind of just goes with the rusticness of the pine cones as it is. I mean, people, let me know in the comments, do you feel like pine cones are rustic? Because I think they're rustic all on their own. Now we're going to need to bring in the decoupage paper. I'm going to use this and some of Hobby Lobby's paper, but there is a particular little spot right here on this TDS Decoupage paper. This is from my TDS Decoupage line. It can be found at thediystruggle.com. I just wanted to take this little section right here and cut it and put a couple little pieces on these dice, mostly because the colors are going to match exactly with this paper that I have had, and I love that I pick up from Hobby Lobby. And as you can see here, the two prints complement each other really well. And if you didn't know, you can pick up paper really inexpensively from Hobby Lobby if you have one local to you and you like to craft. I wasn't exactly sure which sections I wanted from the paper, so I cut off several little pieces. For our medium to attach it, I'm going to be using DecoArt's Decoupage in the mat. Of course, use whatever medium you want. Regular Mod Podge would do the trick just fine. I'm putting a healthy amount on here, and then I'm just gently pressing our piece. And no, I did not cut a perfect circle. You're welcome to, but I'm going to sand this off. And for those of you that love the burn method, you want to do that as well, you go right ahead. I just like to sand my pieces, and I feel like it works just fine. So I cut the pieces in a circle, I applied them, and then I let them dry for about 30 minutes. And while they were drying, I took the opportunity to flock our trees using this multi-surface paint. There are many ways to do this, people. You can use your glitter, you could use joint compound, you could use spackling, you could use caulk. If you want more of like the crusty white bits all over the place, I'm like, nobody's going to see them but me and you. If you're watching my videos, they're going to be little decorative accents, you know, my displays, and I'm going to probably pop around for Christmas. So I'm completely content just using some paint for this part. Now it's time to bring in our little finger sander so we can get the excess off around our paper. Please make sure that whenever you go to do this, if you're new to decoupage, it is really important to make sure that is dry. If not, no matter if it's paper, even a thicker piece of paper, or if it's a napkin, if you start sanding too early, it is just going to move and tear it. You have to get a little bit of patience, people. I know it can be rough, but patience is key to making sure that this looks flawless on here once it's sanded. I really loved how the colors from the TDS Decoupage paper complemented the little pieces that I chose from the Hobby Lobby paper, and then took some of Waverly's wax and went around the cube and went, or the dice, and went around our little pieces of paper that we decoupaged on here just to make it all rustic and fabulous. To attach the pine cones to our little base, I'm just using some hot glue. People, don't do as I do, okay? I am out of wood glue, and later on in the video I do find some Gorilla Glue gel, but make sure you're using a glue that is going to hold these suckers onto here, okay? Your girl needs to make a trip to the store, okay? Shocker. I took some little, look how cute these are. These are from Dollar Tree, the little Christmas bells. I glued them onto different little sections on the smaller trees and left the top one blank and put a little star right at the top of that one. And I cannot tell you how much I love these pieces. I always feel so blessed whenever people send me things and want to see what I create with them. I hope I did not disappoint her. Let me know in the comments below if you plan on making any of these for the holiday season. Oh, how I love me a thrift store, people, and how I love finding little items that will inspire you to make things like these bowls. Do you see what I see? You know, you see it. Some ornaments, right? Some ornaments, and you can make these into all kinds of ornaments. But first, we got to get rid of these rusty little hooks that they have attached here. I was like, I should probably be wearing gloves for this. I might end up needing a tetanus shot, and my entire day is going to end up not where I planned it being, if that's the case. It's a good idea before you go to paint anything that you thrift to clean it off with something. And then if you're using a chemical, always go over it with some hot water to make sure you get that extra residue off. I decided to go with a blue for this, and I honestly mixed a couple colors up and made sure that I had chalk paint mixed in there with it to get the tone of blue that I was looking for. Obviously, if you find something at the thrift store that reminds you of ornaments and you want to paint it whatever color you want. This is just what I was going with for these. I love how it dried. For the inside of our little ornaments, I wanted to put some bells in here, and I had just the thing. I picked up these little clay molds recently off of Amazon, and they're linked down in my Amazon affiliate link in the description box if you're interested. And I had one of each bell. I'm using my favorite clay. It is also down in the affiliate link to use for the molds. People, and I'm gonna say this real quick, use whatever clay you want, okay? To each their own. This is my favorite clay. I've used several different types of clays, and this works best for me. I have hand grip strength issues. I also do furniture art. This sands down really well, and it just works for all the things that I use it for. So to each their own, tomato, tomato. I just want to let you know in case you come in the comments and you're like, this works better. I am sure if that's what's great for you, and I appreciate that, but this is not my first rodeo with clay. I've tested them out. This is what I like to use. And normally people, I also use wood glue for this. Use wood glue. But I'm out, so I'm using this Gorilla Glue gel. You just gotta wing it sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Use what you got accessible to you. And this is what I had. And it stuck on there just fine. You know what I mean? Especially once it dried. Them little clay pieces are on there like a gem. Once everything dried, I took some of Dixie Belle's gilding wax and put a little bit on my finger and went around the edges of our ornaments here, the little bowls, and around our little clay piece. I am always looking for stools no matter where I'm at. Bullseye Playground, thrift store, all the things. This joint was $3, people, and I just had to have it. I'm like, this will be absolutely perfect for me to just incorporate into staging really any time of year, not just Christmas. We're going to give it a very vintage makeover with some white paint, starting with a little sanding, of course, with this 180 grit, because we got to get that sheen off of here to ensure that our paint is going to stick to the surface. Once I was done that, I did wipe all the excess sand down just to make sure we didn't have any bits in there between our paint. And I'm going to take this black inked chalk paint by Waverly and give it a messy coverage. I'm not trying to necessarily cover all of the brown. I just want to make sure there is some different variations. So once we put our crackle on here, we're going to see that beautiful vintage look pop through all the different cracks in our paint. I let this completely dry, and I love how it looks even just on its own like this, but I'm trying to make it a little Christmassy here. So we're going to take our crackle. If you guys have not used this stuff before, it's amazing. It's also down in my Amazon affiliate link in the description box. You want to just put a light layer on and be very purposeful with this stuff. I always try to let people know that it is not forgiving, so make sure that exactly where you're placing this, you want that crackle effect to show through, or you do not care if your paint is separating in those sections. So for the stool itself, I did leave a couple little spots, So this way I could have a few sections of some solid coverage. And then I took a white multi-surface paint and went over with the brush in singular strokes. And I say that, people, because this stuff is not made for you to go back and forth over it. If you go back over a section once the crackle is dry, it is going to just pull the crackle off and you're going to have a huge separation, which is why I said make sure you're purposeful and you don't mind in those sections if there is some separation. Luckily for this stuff, because you are going for a vintage look when you're using it, if there is a little bit of separation, it's usually not a big deal at all. A little tip I learned from Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs is if you take your heat gun over this stuff, it works like magic and separates it even more. So I really wanted this to be extremely cracked up, and I took that heat gun and really focused it in on certain areas to get a beautiful open cracked look. Look at that. It's so beautiful to me. I absolutely love this. And you can see on the top here where there are some sections with no crackle. That is where I didn't put any, so we had a few solid pieces. I wanted to add a little bit of writing and had these transfers from Dollar Tree and just cut out the little sections with the words. And I did cut out one of the little emblems and just transfer it right on the top. People, I have decided that for the rest of the Christmas season, I am going to make sure that I am doing one super easy craft in every single video. And for this particular craft, I'm going to take these ceramic wall decor pieces that Dollar Tree has, and they're fairly big, and just apply a circular stencil over to the top of them. I have a lot of people ask for easier crafts, so I'm going to make the effort to try to incorporate that more so. I feel personally stencils are really easy, and they're also a great way to elevate even the simplest of Dollar Tree pieces. Even though I have some of you that say they struggle with stencils, maybe together as we're going along and I'm doing different ones, you will get the courage to try this a little bit more. People, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed these Christmas crafts, and until next time, bye.